back to Baker Rebuilds. Today we're going to talk about suspension and the role that it plays in your vehicle's handling. As you can see, I've got the Charger off the ground here, just a little bit, and it creates quite the large gap compared to when it's sitting on the ground. This difference that you can see in the ride height is called the range of motion. Effectively, when the suspension gets pushed out to try and make contact with the ground, from that position up there, sitting stable on the ground, static, to this position right here is as far as the strut's going to push the wheel down trying to make contact with the road. The suspension acts like a bridge between the chassis and the wheel, allowing the wheel to traverse up and down as you go over bumps, independent from what the chassis is doing. There are multiple different types of suspension. There's independent suspensions, 5-link suspensions, all kinds. Live rear suspensions, active rear suspensions, double wishbone front suspensions, double wishbone suspensions, single axle rear suspensions, etc. There are a lot of different kinds. There's a McPherson strut assembly, very popular in most cars. Very popular in most economy cars. Regardless of what suspension type you have, its job is to control the 6 degrees of motion. All of these suspension arms that you see in here are doing a job to control one of those degrees of freedom or movement. Now this part that the rotor rests on and the caliper is bolted to is called a steering knuckle or a wheel hub knuckle. This top arm that you see here, as it controls the direct top and center alignment from the spindle, would be your camber adjustment. The Dodge Charger is referred to as a 5-link suspension, being one right here, one at the top, this one, and the one below it on the right hand side, this one, and the one below it. And then I'm assuming that this spring cradle right here, where the strut goes down into, is what's considered the 5th link. This bar right here is your sway bar. Connects either side, connects both sides together so that there's less body roll and less difference between each side under the car's operation. This bar running back is the drive axle, so that is not one of the suspension links. This right here is the brake feed line, goes and attaches to our caliper right there. And this line appears to attach to some sort of sensor. It might be a wheel speed sensor or something. Honestly, I have no idea what that line is. Now, when the car out here hits a bump, this is going to go upward. And if it weren't for these suspension arms, it would also have an inclination to go backward because the car is moving forward. So as you hit that bump, it would give it a upward, up and backward kind of force would be applied. All these arms are doing their job to keep it in place where it's supposed to be. So the only other motion to control is upward, which is where your strut comes in. That's going to dampen the bump as you go over it. After your strut is compressed, as you go over the bump, the shock will apply pressure to push back down as you pass whatever caused the upward force and keep this wheel nice and stable as you go over bumpy ground. These arms can also have what are called camber bolts, and they're like a rounded bolt that's oblong on one side, so that as you turn that bolt head, it'll change the position of what it's going through. So in this instance, if there was a cam bolt here, which this may or may not be, I'm not sure. That's probably a cam bolt. As you would turn the bolt head, it would change your camber up top, because this arm, directly in line with the spindle, is responsible for the camber. So once you dialed in the position you wanted, then you would tighten the nut to hold it in place, and that's part of how you would set your alignment. You can see all these arms attach effectively in a vertical type of pattern, in a vertical plane of movement, so that as the wheel travels over a bump, all of these can hinge upward. This bottom one and this one have slightly different angles, and this one isn't straight on to the center where it's connected, but they all bolt horizontally so that they can traverse over bumps and travel up and down, providing smooth travel for your car. Now, if we have ourselves a look at the front of the car, see, the front is a little bit different. This arm that you see attaching here and coming all the way down is what our wheel bearing is bolted onto. It's a giant steer knuckle of sorts. The upper control arm is a wishbone type of link to come out around the coil over there. This bar heading back and over is our front sway bar. That's what connects each side together, so there's less body roll, less unexpected movement between either side as the car's operating. This here is the lower control arm. The strut bolts right onto the middle of it out towards the end. Hinges here to allow the movement for the wheel, and then there's a ball joint on this side for the lower part of the steering knuckle. This is the tie rod and tie rod end, also on a ball joint. Those come from the steering rack so that it can turn the car with the wheel as you turn left or right. These will be pushed left or right and turn your wheel right here. I should have filmed it, yes I know, but I ended up doing a suspension kit for the front, so the tie rods and end links are new. This bar has been replaced. The upper control arm wishbone, this is new. Hard to see, but this ball joint here that the lower control arm sits on top of, that's been replaced. The lower control arm's been replaced, and then the sway bar end links have been replaced. So since the front has already had several pieces replaced, in an upcoming video probably in 2 weeks, we're gonna have to do some pieces for the rear. Catch you guys in the next one.
There's a learning curve.
Yeah, I'm free falling, I'ma keep on falling.